Hi, and welcome back. After covering the changes that one can do on structures and policies, let's deep dive on the topic of organizational metrics. Almost every organization measures the amount of revenue they make, the costs they have, and ultimately the amount of profit or loss they generate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you think about using metrics in order to create incentives for individuals, teams, and organizational units to drive innovation and become more of a create culture, there are certain things one can do. Let's start out by looking at the metrics that organizations are already measuring. So organizations can move from just measuring revenue by measuring revenue from different sources, especially given organizations want to become more innovative. They could, for example, look at the percentage of revenue that is generated from products and services introduced to the market in the past few years. For example, in the past 5 years. 3M is an incredible example with regards to that. Over the past decades, they have constantly measured what percentage of revenue is being contributed by products and services introduced into the market in the past 5 years. And they have combined this metric with a policy that at least 20% of an organizational unit's revenue should come from these kind of products and services. Think about what kind of incentive this measurement, this metric, combined with the policy creates. Every single leader now has to think about A, how can we create new products and services that are marketable? And B, how can we ensure that these products and services become successful? And ultimately this means they have to put their focus, their energy, and their resources behind these kind of products and services. In addition to established more traditional metrics and variants of those, organizations can also look at a bunch of new types of metrics. Let's look at a few examples. 1. Organizations can start measuring customer satisfaction. The Net Promoter Score is one such metric. In addition, organizations can take a similar metric with regards to employee satisfaction. The so-called eNPS, or Employee Net Promoter Score, helps you do that. Further, organizations can look at the number of experiments that they're running, the number of projects that they, for example, also killed, or actually they could measure the time it takes to take a product or an initiative from idea to market. And finally, organizations can look at a new set of metrics being process-related. For example, the velocity of teams, or the work in progress limits that are in place or that are not in place, the percentage of people being on a single project compared to people being on multiple projects. All these metrics help organizations, A, measure whether they're working in the right direction, and B, set incentives for leaders and individuals to comply with. Now that we've looked at structures, policies, and metric changes that organizations can do in order to drive organizational change and cultural change, in our next video, we will explore some additional initiatives that organizations can run. See you there.